Yo, happy Tuesday. I believe it's Tuesday. Big ups, welcome. It's been a while. It's been ages since I've actually done any type of live stream. But I felt the mood take me today. A lot of progress has been made on Aquaboy. And the kind of undocumented progress. So this stream today is just that. It's like a little update, a little documenting what we've done. And hopefully we'll get some more stuff done today as well. The demo is coming. We're getting ever closer. So let's jump in and I'll show you what we've been up to. So firstly, we're in Godot 4.6 now. And I was playing around with the themes. I've got this quite nice, cool blue sort of vibe, which I feel gets me in the mood for Aquaboy. So let's just set it to full screen. It might actually already be, because I think I was just grabbing a screen grab for the thumbnail. Indeed. So checking everything is in order over here. Seems to be. Yeah, right, so let's have a look. I'll show you where we're at. So we've got all these nice shadows working. There's a light there. And there's a surface here. This yellow surface is in front of the green one. So you can see it sort of parallaxing. And this light here, there's a shadow from this yellow surface on the green one behind it. That's the shadow, I think, of the tile map from that light down there. It's casting shadows of that on the wall there. All these shadows are really over the top and dark, and they're overlapping a little bit down there. So that's on the to-do list. But you can start to see it's starting to look quite nice. And you see also with the character art, just the run at the moment is kind of a bit closer to what the real thing will look like. It's still temp art, but the run is giving you an idea of what the thing's going to kind of look like as we sort of drop in more art. Yeah, so we've set up this little room to test a few of the different things. We've got these wires you can plug in, and then now that's plugged in, this button is going to send power to the circuit, and the circuit's connected to that door. So we can let the water pool here. There's a wooden box that's floating on the water, a metal one that isn't floating. A lot of this stuff we have shown in previous streams, but all the art's starting to change. The shadow stuff has kind of been pulled together, and yeah, it's kind of looking pretty fun. The other thing we've got going on, actually, I moved this light just for the thumbnail I wanted to make just now, but this light should actually be, actually, can I just undo and it'll move back? Yeah, perfect, it should be there, because I'd kind of set up this little red room over on this side to get the wire from. So you can start to see how we're going to be able to make sort of environments. There's a water pit down here. You can climb up and things. But you know, the player might come down here, try and pick up this box. So I can't get out with the box. Could try and throw the box up, I suppose. Get a little bit, but not quite. I think you might be able to just about make that jump. Yeah, so if this was a real level, we'd have to make that further. The idea is that you can't get over there, but you need that box. And the way you do it is you pick this up. I mean, this is not like no actual level design thought has gone into this. Some of the water spills over into there as well, which is unintended, because then you get this sort of rough edge to it all. Probably like let the water out slowly but surely. Anyway, and then yeah, so you can use the floating wooden box as a platform. And you'll see that when we're underwater, all the physics are different. We're much more floaty down here. All our movement is slower underwater. Yeah, and we have the sprite layered up so the arm can go in front of things when you're carrying it. It's broken on that run animation, but you get the idea. And yeah, some cool physics and stuff with the metal one obviously sinks, and the wooden one will float. Still a few bugs there with the clinging onto things. So this should probably right itself. But like, we're basically trying to drop the art in now and polish up the visuals, because we've got enough gameplay elements. And yes, there's still things we could tweak with the gameplay, like the physics here a little bit probably. But we need levels to test first to know exactly how much we want to tweak. Like, we've built the bones of the game here, you know. So it's all just dropping in art and making some levels at the moment. But one of the things about dropping in art is that there's still some... Yeah, look, and the close shadow in here is nice. The shadow system is really, really looking good now. But yeah, I forgot what I was going to say. I just got distracted by how lovely that shadow is. Oh yeah, just what we're going to work on today, because here's the thing. Dropping art in isn't just about dropping art, because now we've got all these new animations, like the going up and down the ladder. Well, you can see, look, it's just playing it forwards when we go up and down. And, you know, the climbing up the ledge there isn't great either. You know, it could be a bit tighter. It's not bad, but I think we could tighten up the positioning of each animation frame as you move up and over the edge so that it looks a bit more real, because yeah, there's definitely, you can see he's treating a bit like a flat edge and it's not in line with the flat edge there. So there's these kinds of challenges now that in order for the final art to be dropped in, we have to revisit some of the player code. We want these, you know, we want the hands to sync up with the bars that they're holding here, which they don't at the moment. So that's the kind of stuff I've been trying to work through, and that's what we're going to try and do tonight, is get the ladders and the monkey bars going. But I'll show you one of the things we have done, and now I'm just going to change this to windowed again, so when we run the project in future now, we're going to get it inside the editor here, which is such a cool feature. I can't believe for how long I was making it play in a pop-out window. Having it just inside the editor is absolutely incredible. I don't think that's 4.6. I've been doing that in 4.5. I think that might have been new to 4.5 maybe. Having this game tab there. Anyway, it's sick, and then you can come in here like you could before, but it's all just so much more convenient because you're just in the editor looking at the, you know, if we want to, what we've been doing recently a lot of is debugging the shadows, looking at here all the sprites for the World Light 2 on that background layer. And yeah, it's a complicated system, like simulating all these parallaxing shadows in a 2D game, but that has this proper, well, we've got proper depth now. We can position objects, you know, on that third dimension. And the way that all works is just with these parallax 2D nodes. And each one's got a different scroll scale. And then we're looking at that scroll scale when we cast the shadow, basically, and size and position the shadow. And the lights themselves are also placed on the layer. So we've got this layer that's layers that are in front. What we're calling it, we've got the play zone, which is where the player is. And then we've got layer 1, layer 2, layer 3, and layer 4, which are behind the play zone. And we can adjust them level by level. They can be at different scroll scales, so they can be at different depths. And you could add or remove layers depending on what the demands of the level was. And then there's the play zone where all the stuff happens, and the water and the player and everyone lives. And then we can have these layers in front as well that could have sprites on, or in our case at the moment, we've just actually storing some of our lights there so that they're casting light directly across everything. They're almost like lights that are like on the camera. Most of our lights, I think, are going to want to exist there. But anyway, one of the things I've done now that this new art is coming in is on the player scene here, right? Before we had all of these, the state machine, and all the animations were being triggered inside these states, and they had like a little animation name there and a default animation. They each still have their default animation defined in there as a export variable, but we have an animation manager script now too, which manages obviously animations. So it does a few purposes, because we've got the front arm sprite and the main sprite separated. So this thing kind of sorts that out. Like animations where we need to use the front arm, it makes it visible and it triggers it, and for animations where we don't need the front arm, it makes that sprite invisible and just plays the main one, which in the cases where the front arm doesn't need to overlap anything, it just lives on the main sprite anyway. So that's one thing it does. The other thing it does is it manages these transitions. So now if we go from idle to crouch, then we'll arrive in the crouch animation, but when we arrive there, this animation manager is going to be triggering crouch enter and looking out for crouch enter to end, because it knows we're in the middle of a transition, and then when it does end, it's then going to go back to its default. If no transition is defined, play default animation. Check if the transition is finished. So when an animation finishes, we just play the default. It's a pretty simple system, but it just means we can list transitions here. So whenever going from one state to another requires a a transition animation, we put it in. It's pretty nice. Don't know why these ones have two. That's interesting. Oh, I guess it's depending on whether you press one button or another. I think because when you're putting a box down or throwing it, you do the same state transition, but depending, it's to, yeah, I think that's what that's about. So yeah, so this is cool. This is a cool system, but today we're looking at the ladder and the monkey bar. So I actually went back through these scripts earlier on today, and I added comments, so we can easily read all the code we wrote nearly a couple of years ago now. It's just kind of mad how long we've been working on this for. So yeah. Hang on a minute and a minute. Right, okay, anyway, sorry about that. Let's get back in. It's catching up on some correspondence, right. Stay over this side, I think this makes more sense, doesn't it? So, I think if we look at the length of the ladder script and the monkey bar one, we see the monkey bar one is considerably shorter. I think the monkey bar is the simpler case because there's no bottom and top. There's just an edge. Whether it's the left or right edge, it's an edge. And the ladder has also some leaning out animations we want to put in. So that's a more complicated case. So I think we should start with the monkey bars, and if we can get that done tonight, then if it's quick enough, then it shouldn't be too bad to just chuck that over to the ladder and work out where the ladder needs extra help. But yeah, let's use the monkey bars as our initial thing. So we have this constant snap right offset. I don't like that it's not all in capitals if it's a constant. I did write this code a while ago. It's funny, isn't it? Like, I'm still an absolute self-taught kind of, spaghetti code specialist. But I look at the stuff I did a year and a half ago and I'm like, oh my God. So the only state we can move into from the monkey bar state is falling. That makes sense. And we have, depending on what monkey bars we've grabbed onto, we need a reference to the monkey bars we are holding. So when we enter the function, we set the monkey bar reference and we set our variables. There are no variables to reset here. So that was, I think I copied it from the ladder one. I think the ladder one did have variables to reset. Yep. So if not monkey bar tiles, then let's get them. And if we've just entered this state, it's because the monkey bar checker just overlapped with some monkey bars. So that's why we can just say, look, whatever the first overlapping body is of the monkey bar checker, that's what it is. And because I think, I'm just reminding myself as much as anyone how this stuff works. What is it? Is it called physics? Look, we have a layer specifically for monkey bars, so that's not going to trigger anything else, the monkey bar checker. So yeah, so that must be foolproof. And we snap the player to the monkey bars. I mean, all this code does work, so of course I guess it is foolproof. Snap player to monkey bars. So we set this position. We say the player, we take the position of the monkey bar checker. We subtract 204 from it. That is so arbitrary, but just on the y coordinate. So we're going 204, and a minus number in that case would be going upwards. We're taking wherever the player's monkey bar checker is, and we're going upwards 204 pixels, which is like a little bit. Well, our tile size is 48, so it's like 3 and a bit tiles up. Then we take that position and we put it local to map, which returns the map coordinates of the cell contained given local position. So we're saying the position of there, like which tile is it? Local position to the map position. So then we know what the tile coordinate is. Then its snap position is going to be why do we pass it back and forth like that? Because then we get the top of the tile. So wherever we are in the tile, by going back and forth, by going to the tile and then coming back out, we'll get whatever the kind of default, like top left of that tile is or something. And then the player's position on Y is that position plus the offset, which is 210. God, that's so confusing. But I guess I just worked out that this works. And then the player's velocity Y. So at the moment, I think I'm happy with all of that. I don't think we need to change any of it apart from just make the player a bit higher where they snap to, because yeah, they're slightly too low. The hands are slightly too low. So I guess this offset is a positive number. We're plussing it, which means that's going downwards. So I think if we made this smaller, if this became, I don't know, like 196 or 192 rather, that would be 4 tiles, wouldn't it? That does look perfect. Yeah, I think that's where we want the hands. Yeah. Okay, so that's good. So I think that's fine. That does what we need it to do. Might not be the best thing, but it's relatively concise. It makes sense. Now, we manage direction swaps. That's fine. That just always happens in the physics process of most states. Not all, but most. Mostly. So this is the jumping off. See, we could maybe want to tweak that later, but I don't think so. That looks fine to me. Stop the player moving at a monkey bar's edge. So this probably is where we might want to start changing things. And then there's the movement. Yeah, so really it's this code here that needs updating. Let's talk about what we want it to do. So I want it to lock in so that the arms always match the bars like that. That's what we want. So we need to work out where that is. And in that respect, we may want to actually add it to the original lock-on. I think we're going to have to, aren't we? So actually we're going to add something. Let's just start by making it so that we can snap to that grid in the right place in the enter script here. So I think what you want to do is like look at the remainder. We want to look at modulo, right? Because we keep our grid is a 48 by 48 grid. So if we look at the player's X position, so snap player to monkey bars. Yeah, okay, so that's the Y stuff. So then let's do the Z stuff here. So then player global position dot X equals is there something we can do to just floor it to the nearest 48? Or do we have to do it as a stage first? I feel like there might be a function called floor. Rounds X downwards towards negative infinity. Return the largest whole number that is not more than X. It's something like this. It's one of these things. Round. Rounds X to the nearest whole number if halfway case is no. What does it say? Snapped. Returns the multiple of step that is the closest to X. Yes. Yes, this is it. This is what we want. This can also be used to round a floating point number to an arbitrary number of decimals. Right, no, we want the multiple of step that is closest to X. So we need to times that by 48 then. We need to say it's 48 times snapped your position .48. Is this going to do it? No, it just immediately freaks out. The water algorithm crashed because of that. No way. How are those linked? Whoa. I think what it means is that we haven't got this right and that we're moving the player to outside of the active area because the water algorithm is searching for stuff. What we need, this actually is just something I should add to the list. I should make it so that this doesn't crash, because this always crashes things, this stuff, where we're checking certain positions of things to check if something is underwater or not. Where was the crash? It was in the is underwater bit, wasn't it? Yeah, it's underwater. So this is exactly the problem. This is not right. I'm doing something wrong here. So snapped returns the multiple of step. So step 48 that is closest to x. So x is going to be a player's global position in the x coordinate. Yeah, I'm not really sure why that doesn't work, because returns the multiple of step that is closest to x. So if step is 48, then it's the multiple of 48. So it's how many lots of 48 there are to get to there. It's the same type of variant as step. So is that our problem? Does this need to be like 48.0? Because this is like, that's obviously a float, the player's position. Whoa, there's a fun bug. Look where we moved to. Funny that didn't crash the game like it did last time, though. We're just in the same spot. Yeah, pretty much. So something is crashing though, because like the player should just fall off that. So let's just do some experimenting. Let's print player's global position, and then let's also print what this is, and then let's comment that out for now. One, 4, 1. That's the player's position, and then it would snap to 1, 4, 4. And minus 1, 4, 4 times 48. Yeah, okay, so we don't need to times it by 48. Oh, I'm being an idiot, right? So when it says returns the multiple, then it's just the number. I was thinking that was what would you call it? The factor. But it's the actual multiple, not the multiplication factor that gets to the multiple. Right. So it really does just snap it to its nearest thing. Yeah, okay, so that's fine. So okay, so I'm just being an idiot. So it's just the 48 times that we just didn't need. And then this, I hope, will work now. It's hard to tell. I mean, I suppose that might work because we need an offset. It did seem to look like it worked. Is it always to that bit? Oh my god, does it also depend what the offset is depending on which direction we're facing? Probably does, right? Because on this case we're like that side. And then if we go this way, we're on that side. And I guess that's because the way our player is set up, if we come in here and we look at the sprite and we look at wherever it is, monkey bar, idle, that's the arms aren't centered, yeah? So, yeah, when he flips, his hands actually move. So the way in which we lock him in is going to depend on the direction he's facing, which is fine. That's not too complicated, but that's something to consider. So then it's just like if player direction, in fact no, if player sprite flip H, that we don't need to say is true, just so if it's flipped and he's facing to the left, so then it would be that plus equals a certain amount. I'm guessing it would, if he's flipped it's going to be minus, and so we'll probably just want this to be snap X offset, and I'm predicting it's going to be like 16 pixels ish, and so we'll subtract that here. Can we maybe change these to capitals? I think that's nicer. And presumably the rest of the script is unaffected. Yeah, cool. That's better. And so then if it's flipped, else you probably plus it instead. Okay. So I think we go the other way. I think that one's supposed to be the plus and that one's supposed to be the minus, because they need to be pulled back away from the direction. Yeah, there we go. They pretty much line up. Yeah, that is good. Great. He just grabs on. Okay, it's still possible to move around, obviously. Okay, so that's one thing. That's really cool. Now, there's a whole other layer to this as well, though, because what we also want to do is control the speed of the animation so that it's in sync with the gaps between the monkey bars. Now, I don't think that's going to be the way to do this. Bizarrely. Maybe it is, but I have a couple of ideas. I have a couple of theories about how we can approach this. And one of them, it maybe sounds a bit crazy, but it's like, what if we don't play the animation at all? What if we just take over the players' movement now and make it basically grid-based. So what we'll do is we'll just look for the player's input of left or right, and if left or right is being held, which will be down here, look, if player direction, that means the player's moving, and else, if player direction is null, then it means the player's not inputting any left or right, basically. And what we'll do is we'll basically say if at any point when the player's holding down a direction, if they are not already moving towards the next point, then start moving towards it. And we only actually check for the player's input whenever the character's in that middle bit of the animation. Let's have a look at the animation frames. Monkey bar idle. We've got the arm in there as well that we can just make invisible for now. So yeah, we can see we got that, and we got this him facing the other way with the other arm at the front. So we also need to sync up depending on, yeah, I suppose depending on whether it's idle 1 or idle 2 would depend upon what multiple of 96 you're closest to, because it's like every other rung you're going to be on the other arm, right? So we've got idle 1 and idle 2, and we'll look at I guess what we want to do is say what's the remainder, divide it by 96, and what's the remainder, and if the remainder is more than 48, then you're on idle 2, but if it's less than 48, you're on idle 1. So effectively just have a grid across the whole map that dictates which way they, and I guess that means the player will always grab the bars the same, which might be a bit jarring. So it might be a better way of doing it. Might just be to say you always start on idle 1 wherever you are, and you kind of move between them relative to that starting point from when you grabbed on. That will create it'll feel more alive if we put the effort into doing that. I think that, because there might be something a bit robotic about feeling like they're always on the same way. I don't know. Maybe we should do the simplest thing first and see if it's good enough. Maybe that's actually a better approach. The simplest thing would certainly be to just have it hard-coded into like a grid across the whole map. Anyway, and then the monkey bar move, does it pass through the idle frames? That's what I'm like, this frame, does that exist somewhere in the middle of the movement? See, not really. But if we look at the movement animation, it's really two halves. Yeah, look at the legs. Are almost the same. Slightly different on that frame. But they're pretty much in the same positions each time. So they're like, it's kind of like 2 5-frame animations. And we'll have to play it from frame 5 if we're leaving from idle 2 and things like this. So it's quite complicated, but we really do want it to look good. Like, I don't think we stand a chance making an indie game if you don't look at it and go, wow, that looks really good. That's why we've put so much time into the shadows and the art and all the rest of it, right? So yeah, it's important. I think this stuff is important. So, what for now? I think it does make sense to just literally really finely control the player's movement on a sort of grid. And basically, it will be like a grid-based movement system that we'll set up inside this state. So when you press the button, if you're not already in a moving state, I think that's what we'll have within. Let's start mapping this out. I think we can leave all that in for now. It might break later when we start making the movement work in other ways. It probably will, because it just sets direction to 0. That probably will work. It'll just force. And then we handle movement afterwards. So then if direction's 0, like because this thing wants it to be, yeah, so it should probably work. So is it fair to say it's literally just this bit? Because return null can stay at the bottom anyway. So, and move and slide probably we're going to get rid of that. We'll probably keep apply force to objects. But yeah, move and slide I think we'll get rid of. So what we'll do is we'll actually put apply force to objects down here too. And then we'll take all of that and comment it out. Whoops. How do you do it then? Like that. Okay, so this is the bit we're going to change. I'm just going to go grab a glass of water and then we will start writing some code. Okay. Right, boom, boom, boom. Let's have a look. Okay. So let's basically rewrite this. That's what it comes down to, I think. Can be fairly confident everything else will work. And so what we want to do is we want to sort of set up a situation where we have like a variable for moving, which will start as false. Okay. Right, so like, yeah, what we'll do is we'll say by default you're not moving. Okay. Now, if moving Let's start with not moving. That actually makes more sense. If you're not moving, then if there's a direction, then we're going to want to like do some stuff like start. So like then at that point, moving would become true. And we start pushing the player 48 spaces. We start sort of lerping their position. And we do have some variables in here we want. Like we've got monkey bar speed and acceleration and things. But we just don't want to move and slide the player, I don't think. The problem is because the player's a character body or whatever, moving and sliding is best practice. So what if we keep all of this, but we just trigger? The thing is, no, because the player has to lock on. They have to always keep moving to their nearest block. Yeah. So you don't want to be like accelerating and decelerating them like that kind of thing. The thing is, I think we need both things, because like we kind of still want to be ultimately moving the player with move and slide, but move and slide isn't precise enough to make them snap in to a particular spot either. So that's kind of tricky as well. Okay. Let's go down the road of just pure grid-based movement, and we'll see if we can get away with not using move and slide, because I think that does complicate things massively. But so the only reason to do that would be if we find this method to be more complicated, which I don't predict it will be more complicated. So let's go with it. So if you're not moving and you press direction, then you're going to enter the moving state. And so during the moving state, then stuff will be happening. And so we'd say else, and it would all be in here. I'm not going to worry about the animation for now, because I don't think we're going to use play animation either. I think we're going to change the animation frame based on your position, if that makes sense. Because the animation frames, as you go from this to this, those 5 frames need to be evenly spread across the 48 pixels, so that as you move, yeah, that makes sense, right? Maybe I'm overthinking this though. Maybe I can keep the move and slide quite easily, and we just check. We just always say when we say that the player isn't holding a direction, if their position isn't in line with an edge, then we keep them moving. We basically keep running that code. The problem is we no longer have the direction. So what we need is to just keep track. So let's actually call this moving direction, and we'll have it at 0. And let's abandon this for now. What we want to do is just kind of bake it into here. So we just want to say, like, firstly, we don't want to trigger the animations like this. We'll deal with the animations in a minute. But we're just going to say when you're moving, you're just moving. So that's fine. They can just freely move. It's when they're not moving, we want to check if they are in the right spot yet or not. So let's try it like this. So let's say how we did it up here is using snapped. So when they stop moving, we say if the player's global position X it's hard though, isn't it? Hold on a minute, because like this is going to have to be so precise. Checking every frame. Maybe we do need more granular control. I think it should be okay. I think this should be okay. We just have to line him up again at the end. But like, so what we'll do is we'll say if your position I think we want to look at more of these functions we were just looking at. There was one like these. We sort of just want to say if the player's not on that spot, because it's not snapped, it's actually the remainder is actually what we're interested in. Is the one just called posmod, or is it? Does it have to be fposmod? That is just a normal one. Returns the integer. Right, yeah, I've got to think about minus numbers as well. This is where I'm like, not not smart enough right now to do this. So we want the remainder to be 0. Otherwise, it ain't gonna work. Also, does this work if we just feed it an integer? That's also something I would like to know. Oops. This is all going to be broken, of course. I'll just code that. Let's comment that out for a second. Yeah, that's fine, isn't it? Obviously, yeah, you do keep moving a bit when you jump on, holding a direction. Okay. So I can't remember how to do it. Is it just called mod? No. And I'm kind of wondering if pos mod is what we want, or if we just want normal modulo anyway. It doesn't really matter, we just want it to be 0. So it doesn't matter what happens in between. Although if we're dealing with minus numbers, we still want this. I think posmod is what is going to be better for us. So how does it work? So it's divided by y. So if the player position, if posmod player position x 48 is 0, then you are on the spot. And we could give it some leeway, like instead we could sort of say, like, if you're near it, if we're not catching everything enough. But if it's 0, then cool, like you're allowed to stop there. In fact, it's not lerp, it's just like be stopped. But then that is, yeah, that's pretty hard to do. I'm just going to run it out of sheer curiosity. You just never stop, because we never hit the 0 exactly. This is never like returning bang on a 0. Let's just print it. Let's see what we're getting. Eight, 2, 5, 8, 2, 5, 9, 2. Yeah, it's not. We're not sampling it anywhere near often enough. Our odds of hitting that 0 are just 0. So I need another way. So I wonder what it looks like if we just go like super basic with it. What if we just after everything we just say if velocity equals 0, if player velocity like if you're still, then we just perform the snap again, which is this bit. if it equals 0 vector. Snap. It's not working, is it? Is the player's velocity ever like coming in at 0? Kind of. Yeah, it is. So that should, why is that not working then? Oh, there we go. It does eventually snap. But it just takes ages to actually get to the point where it's full on zeros. Because for a time before that, it's minus 0, 0. Huh. Wow. I wish I could help. Awesome seeing you program again. Oh, the Grinch. Yes, how's it going? Big up yourself. Thanks for dropping by. So, what if we say if it's like less than like 0.1, 0.1 or something like that. Oh, yeah, there shouldn't be a dot there. Can you do that with a vector? Oh, minus 360, 0 is... Yeah, that doesn't work. Also, I suppose the y coordinate is always 0. So what we really just care about is x here. And then we don't have to mess with the vector. And then we can just say, if it's less than 0.1, and greater than minus 0.1, then it's like it's near 0, near enough 0. Oh. It's jarring when it moves like exactly like half. Like that is jarring. That's not very nice, is it? But with the animations in, it might feel more, you know. So let's keep that, because that seems to be working. And then let's put a comment in to say what that is. So snap to grid when still. And the other thing is we could make this like harsher, so that you know, you snap faster or whatever. But I think that looks fine. Let's leave it at that. And then what we want to do now is control the control animation frame. In fact, we probably just want to do that in here. So when we're lerping back, actually whatever happens, it's this, and then it's here, and trigger idle animation. Now in here, I wonder, can we override the animation manager? Because the animation manager is still going to be like, hey, look, you're on monkey bars. I want to make you do monkey bar idle 1. It's probably fine, because that will only trigger. If there's no transition, then it will only try and do it on the state change. And then we can come in here and immediately start fucking with it. So I think it'll be fine. So let's just say player sprite play. Is that how we do it? I can't remember how to. Yeah, we should still put it through the animation player, I think. Animation manager. So yeah, so in here, if I say player animation manager play animation monkey bar idle 1, is that what it's called? Monkey bar idle 1. For now, we'll just do that. We'll come back to making it the right one in a minute. But then this is if you're still. But if you're not still, then you're moving. And if you're moving, then we want to play okay, hold on a minute. But I think actually we do want to do this first, because it will just make more sense if we do it this way. So we want to check in here if this is if what we do then is we say like if the player's global position, which has now been snapped, if pos mod that 96 is 0, then we know that it can be like defined as idle 1, right? Let's say that is idle 1. Otherwise, then it's going to be idle 2, which means that we're on one of the ones in between the 96s. And then we can just come in here and we've got to kind of like divide the space in between each 48 tile between the 5 animation frames. So, God, yeah, so how do we do this? What we want to do is we want to basically count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 across like these 10 frames based on Yeah, based on our position. So this, because that matches idle 1, this is on 0, and then this is on 48, and so on. So we can just hard code it. Divide it by 5, like it's just a little bit of maths. So we're going to say like player dot sprite dot, let's look at animated sprites in here. Frame so yeah, I think we just want to play as animation equals monkey bar move, and player sprite frame equals, and then it just depends where we are, but also which direction we're facing, because then the whole calculation has to reverse if we're looking left versus if we're looking right. Well, it's like modulo actually. It's no, if we use the pos mod, then it will always work, because then even if we're going backwards, no, wait, it doesn't quite work. No, we do need to just do it differently depending on which direction we're facing. I think it's like one of them's going to be subtracting the number and one of them's going to be adding it or something. But the frame's going to equal the player's X position here. This. It's going to be whatever that value is divided by 10. Because that's going to be something between 0 and 95. It's not just as simple as dividing it by 10, is it? We want to map it to is that number over 96, or rather 95? Because this is going to be a number between 0 and 95. So that divided by 95 times 10. Let's just see what that does. I think it will only work going to the right. It just doesn't work at all. It's playing the first frame of the animation just the whole time. What if we print all this and see what it's actually doing? Yeah, it's just always 0. That's weird. So what if I just print that? Use another bracket on the end. So that should just be a load of numbers. Right. And so then that divided by 95 should be numbers between 0 and 1. Aha, but we're not using floats. Wow. It doesn't quite line up. It kind of works though, like, but I guess we're just way too fast. So then that suggests some monkey bar speeds need to change. Land monkey bar speeds 360 and water's 240. Let's like bring these drastically down, like 120 and 60. It's not a bad attempt. But it doesn't work. It's not a bad attempt. Like we're locking in, which is good, and we get that kind of like going over onto the other side. So it's better than it was, but it's not lining up just right, is it? And like one tap, I want one tap to make you always move one rung, you know. But I'm having to hold it down a little way to actually get over the threshold. What we want is if you, as soon as you leave, that's it. You're doing the next. Like it always wants to round towards the direction that you're moving in, rather than ever rounding backwards. So that's a thing. And you'll see, yeah, going to the left, the animation is playing backwards. So it's not working going to the left either, because I foresaw this, but because yeah, it's almost like we need to invert this if you're going left. So this is kind of like another scenario where we have this. If the sprite is flipped, then you're doing something else. Else you're doing this version. But if the sprite is flipped, then it's like we have to do more to this part of it. We have to say like whatever the pos mod is, subtract it from 95. Oh, safe. Yes, Pete, welcome. I thought we'd start on monkey bars because they're the simpler case, because they don't have tops and bottoms, they just have an edge. You don't have to do all the climbing in and out. Also, the ladder has the leaning back and the jumping off. Well, this has jumping off, but the leaning back as well. I just thought monkey bars is the simpler cookie to crack first, yeah. And we are getting there, but it's not super reliable yet. But there are a few things still on my list of like plans to improve it. So like this is returning a number from from 0 to 95, and what we want is if it's 0, we want it to stay as 0, but if it's 1, we want it to be 95. So we want to take this number and subtract it from 96. So we need another set of brackets around here, and we say 96 minus this. I guess we better keep floaty about it. All of that. And then that over 95 times. So then now it should be playing the animation the correct way when we go left as well. Yeah, there you go. Now he's reaching forwards to grab the bar, and he's reaching forwards to grab the bar there. We always lock on. But yeah, we want to round it, always round it forwards instead of sometimes being able to round backwards like that. And then I think we should be okay. We just, because then this animation would keep playing if we forced the player to keep moving if they hadn't reached the next bit. So we're pretty much there. What we'll probably want to do then, I would imagine, is tweak the animation frame positioning potentially, just so that they do stay, because it's now it becomes a question of, you know, because what's good about this is we are moving the player with move and slide, aren't we? Pretty much. We're snapping it here, and I think this is probably the part we want to get rid of. Instead of snapping it, we want to keep moving and sliding it to the next spot. It's almost like what we should do is look at the direction we're moving, look at our position, and set a target. And then, if the player stops moving, we'd say, well, that's fine, we still have a target we haven't reached, so we keep going. And I think like this moving direction thing, I haven't even used this yet. So maybe we'd say target position, and we'll target X position to be more precise. So if we're moving here, this is where we want to decide what our target is. What are we getting? Narrowing conversion, float is converted to int and loses precision. Yeah, no, we're happy with that. Where does that happen? There, and there, and there, and there, and there. So it's twice in each of those lines. Twice in each of those lines. You can, if I click ignore there, look, then it does that, which is quite cool. So we can just add those in, so then we don't get the warnings. Nice. Okay. Because we actually want it with like the whole, we're deliberately crunching it into an integer. So that's fine. Okay, so if we're moving, this is where we want to start getting a sense of which direction we're moving in. So if player sprite flip H, then we're moving to the left, else we're moving to the right. Okay, so we can work this out. I think it's easier to start down here, like in the case where we're going to the right. And what we want to do is we want to sort of say, it's all this stuff again. We want to take the pos mod. So we're going to say target X position equals our global position by 48. And then that's the remainder. So if we're moving to the right, then we want to plus the inverse of that remainder to our current position. So the remainder can be 0 to 47. And if it's 0, then there is no target, we're just there. I suppose if it's 0, we probably want to add 48 because we're moving. We're at 0, but with the player's asking us to move. So we want it to be the next one. So yeah, so I think we just want 48 minus this remainder, and we want to add that to whatever our global position X actually is. I think that's right. I wonder if you rearrange the frames of the animation, if you can line it up better, shunt the first frame to the end. Oh yeah, that's not a bad shout, because it looked like it was sort of consistently in the wrong spot. Let's pass there. That's actually not a bad shout. Because he's kind of always grabbing in the gaps. Although it does... Yeah. So if this went there, and this went there, and this went there, like that, now what? Oh mate, you're a genius, Pete. That just works, doesn't it? Okay, yeah, so if we could make it so that the movement gets forced to keep going forwards instead of having those shunting backward moments. I mean, that looks pretty good to me. Try one more. Yeah, no, that's worse. But what if this one comes back to the end? I want to make sure I'm getting this right here. Yeah, that's good. And then this one also comes back to the end. So there's one more in the other direction. No, that's also worse. No, I think we had it in the sweet spot. I think we did. I think that one there, I think is... Oops. Looking really good. Okay, so yeah, if we can just sort out the snapping forwards, then we're laughing. We got another debugger. Oh, it's going to want us to... Ignore that. Okay, so... Clear. So what we're saying is that that's your target if we're moving to the right. If we're moving to the left, it's going to be like slightly different. So the pos mod is going to mean good things for us, I think, because yeah, it's easier if we're dealing with minus numbers. We just want this consistent behavior. It doesn't matter where the player is. We want the mods, the like remainders, to come out the same. And so definitely we want pos mod, and then we're going to say that the target, because we're moving to the left, we just want to subtract the remainder straight off without the add 48. Because wherever we're positioned, if we're moving towards the left, then whatever the remainder is the distance between us and the one, because it's counting from the other way because we're going that way. But yeah, so I think it's just, we just get rid of the plus 48. And now let's print our target X position and see what it looks like. Okay, so they're not perfect integers. They've all got these like remainders of 0.3 or 0.6. So there's a slight just lag in the system, but that's fine because we can floor it, can't we? So if we say equals floor, then it should just be 0.0 at the end. Oh, weird, though they're odd numbers now. Oh dear. What the, how does floor work? Round X downwards, return the largest whole number that is not 1x. So, is that because this is all happening in the minus part of the map? So 84.5 or 44.6 gets rounded to minus 145. Because we're in the minus numbers. Minus 145. So we don't want to floor it, we want to snap it again. Snapped that to 48. And now as we move from rung to rung, it's always pointing at the one in front of us. Yeah. Bit of a headbanger there. Okay, cool. So that means that now we can ask the question when the player is not pressing a direction if we are near enough to it to stop. If we're like here, if we're within this sort of, within a threshold. So if player's global position is greater than that minus 5, let's say, and it's less than it plus 5, then we're near, right? So if we're near it, then cool, we'll permit you to stop. Else, like, you've got to keep moving. So it's like this again. If the sprite's flipped, then move, keep moving. Oopsie, I think I lost something more than I wanted to lose there. Then keep moving, but instead of player direction, because the sprite's flipped, this is just -1. Right? The player's direction, I think, is just a integer. Yeah, perfect. So -1.0. Okay. And if it's not flipped, then we keep moving, but it's like it's +1 because we're moving to the right. If this works, man, I will be happy. Nope. So we can't rest. He doesn't know how to rest. But he does keep going forwards, and then he fucks up. So we're not bad. It's probably this. We're using 5 here, and we just need to calibrate this. I think we need to be more snappy here. Like, what if this was 5 and -5 instead? Like, so that it's a bit more kind of, there's a bit more power in the grab of the stop. Or the other option is to bring this down. But then I feel like 5 is already quite a small number for such a thing. We're nearly there. So the problem is that, like, the velocity is low, so we're snapping. But I guess when we get to 0, it's not satisfied that we're actually there, because the new target is being moved over. So yeah, because when we reach the exact point we want to be at, it's thinking, oh, well, I want to be at the next one now. So the target shouldn't react to being at 0. So when this is 0, we don't want it to be 48 minus 0. Because if it's 48, we want it to be, we want to basically say you're at your target. So yeah, so we're very nearly there. It's on the tip of my tongue. But is it just as simple as saying, oh, there must be a way of doing this. It's starting to feel like I'm going to make something really convoluted. Because we're having the same problem going to the left. Maybe the left is an easier example. See, we have our position, and then we're subtracting zero Yeah, this one, you'd think this one would work then. You'd think it would work going to the left but not to the right. Keeps trying to leave. Keeps trying to go to the next place. But then not having enough velocity to escape and being snapped straight back again by this. So the target should only be set. Or do we just need to say that the target is... is 0 in those cases? Do you know what I mean? Like, if the difference between the two numbers is a small amount, then your target can just be where you actually are. That's kind of all I need to make it do. Yeah. It just needs a little bit of flex in it. So if all this comes forwards and we just check first if this like if it's greater than -5 and smaller than 5, then it's like it's quite small. Okay, so it's actually the other way around. What we're going to say is like if it's smaller than -5 or bigger than 5, then like do all this stuff. Otherwise, otherwise just do nothing. No. We still want to set it to something. We want to set it to this, basically. We want to just snap our own position straight in. So the target X position. Oh yeah, so this can actually then live in there with that stuff. And we'll do it differently here. Otherwise, what we'll do is instead of looking at the target and snapping it, we'll just snap our actual position to whatever the nearest one is. So then if we're close by, it doesn't worry. Still just exactly the same. Is -5 not enough? Like, what if it was like 50 and 50? 50 is going to be more than a tile, so 50 is definitely too much. Let's try 10. I don't think that's it though. I don't think we're moving more than 5 pixels in this glitch anyway. But it's just still doing it anyway. We will get there. on to charge. Right. So maybe all of what I just added wasn't really helpful. Oh, I know why. It's the snapping offset. The snapping offset keeps moving them. And the lack of velocity keeps snapping them back. Ah, yeah, of course. Okay. I still think that this little +5 -5 thing will be helpful, so I'm going to leave it in. But we need to be checking with the offset in place. That kind of confuses everything, but I'm sure that's what it is. So let's go back through this then. If the player's direction, then they move around. And if they're moving, we're checking for target directions. So target X positions. And I think that's kind of working, because if we look at what we're getting here, when I do, like, you see, every time we manage to get that to move, but I can tap and I get pulled back and it doesn't change the target, but then, oh wow, okay, that was a bug, because then he just kept going and didn't stop. Like that. How's he doing that? He just keeps going. His velocity never gets low enough, and it's like over jumped his target. And it just keeps going. But then you're never reassessing the target, because, yeah, okay, so that's quite a big bug. So I guess these need to go up. We'll put 10 and 10 there to give more buffer. And then that should prevent that. Both in that line, so just put that there then again. I wonder if I could put it for the whole script. That would be nice. Does anyone know a way of doing that? I've just got it all over the place at the moment because we're doing so much of it, because it's all about snapping to a grid. So we're using it all the time. So what we really should be targeting are these positions we move to once we've snapped. So we need to just be adding the snap offset or taking it away depending on where we're going. So and then if we're too close, we're just doing that. So we snap it. I suppose whatever the case, whatever direction we're going in, we need to do that. So I think we just have this basically at the end here, but we're going to do it to the targets. to make sure the targets are always looking for that proper spot instead. Come on, come on. Okay, we have... It's even worse now. Okay. We may be best to go back to how we had it before, where the targets weren't a thing, because all this down here was working. And it's just all of this stuff that I've put in since. I think we need to just try something else, a different method here. But maybe it just doesn't work with all of this. I mean, what if this was only really, really sensitive? He just never stops moving. Hold on. Yeah, I suppose that should just match. Yeah, it should just be the same. I mean, maybe abandoning move and slide is the way to do it. I feel like not, though. It'd be nice to keep move and slide as the way we're actually moving around when we are moving. What if you carry on moving forward until you reach a target animation frame, so the move and slide naturally comes to a stop in the right position, rather than snap? So at the moment I'm triggering the animation frames from the position. So that's how we're keeping them in sync, is that depending on where you are in the movement, that's how it knows where the arms should go. So I'm kind of doing it the other way around at the moment. So yeah, maybe that's one alternative way to try it, I suppose. But then we need to have the animation at the right speed from movement, which I think, yeah, that's going to then be tricky. I think we're really close here, but we just need to be able to catch those moments when you're like in the right place. And at the moment we're sending sort of these conflicting instructions. My guess is that it's like this bit here triggering too much. here. The whole time it's that. That's causing all the bugs. Look, oh, there we go. Look, we actually did stop. Okay. So I think we've got our culprit. It's this. Because the snap offset is 16. So when we're checking, should these just be 16 or 17? It should be something bigger. Let's try 20. If it's bigger than the snap offset, then it should catch it, right? If your position is bigger than the target minus 20 and smaller than it plus 20, yeah, then you're like within that. Area. So even if you've been snapped 16 away from it, you should still be in there. Yeah, so let's keep detectiving here. Then, so we'll print when we're in here. So I'm sure we will be all the time. So the question begs, why? So if we're doing that, print what the target position was. And print what our position was. Why are they not playing nicely with each other? Oh wait, I don't want to print target position as a string. I want the variable. And it's not called that, it's called target X position, isn't it? So it's targeting minus 176. It's still targeting the block in front. It's still targeting the block in front. Okay. So that's because something isn't working up here. It's never going to be minus 5. It's not going to be like that. This is if it's less than if it's less than 42, right? Oh, well, 48 minus 5, let's keep it simple. because then it's just the 5 and the 5, and then it would be and greater than 5, because it's not looping back round. These modulos are going to be between 0 and 47, so we're looking at, yeah, that's going to certainly step in the right direction, isn't it? Ugh. We can still make it happen, but a lot less frequently. Still feels like we're moving backwards into some of them though. No, we just skipped our target as well. The targeting system is just broken. The targeting system is just so unreliable that all the other infrastructure we've put in just isn't working. I think we're not picking the target very well. And that's all happening up here, isn't it? So I'm tempted to remove all that and start again, because we've made it all quite messy now. How it links into here is important as well. Okay, so all of that can go. And then here we lerp to 0. We get rid of all of that as well. And we should be back to like it being really smooth, but it just snaps backwards sometimes. It seems like the animations are backwards, no? Like, I think we want to be starting halfway round. Like, we do this 5 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, now it's stopping on the right one. Yeah. That's better. I mean, it's pretty good already, right? It is pretty good already. But yeah, it needs to be a proper grid-based movement. I think I might get rid of move and slide altogether. And we'll just say, like, when the player's holding a direction, then keep going. It's just what happens when you let go of it. That's the thing, isn't it? Yeah, I think that solved it, right? Do you still think it looks off now? I think it's lining up now with the idles properly, isn't it? Better now. Yeah, good. Yeah, you're seeing the same thing as me. Yeah. So, okay. So this is still a pretty good state for it to be in, but we can do better. Also, the way that you kind of turn around is a bit weird. It's kind of, that's a bit awkward and funny. A nice turnaround animation, yeah. And he has to sort of go from like to that one sort of thing. Which means, oh my god, we need it all like reversed. So, because then when you're facing this way, you don't want... Because the arm has to come back. Like, so when you're going left to right, the grid needs to be opposite to if you're going right to left. So that then the right arm is always on the, you know, even runs, and the left arm's always on the odd runs, for example. The way we've got it at the moment, if you turn left or right, your arm's going to go like that, like from, you know. So there's another thing in there about that as well. But it's all, the key stuff is in here. The key stuff is this bit. When we stop moving. That's true. If the turnaround animation is like that, he like jumps and clings back on the other way. So he always goes, if he's... But then we also need two of them, because you need one for when he's facing forwards and one for when he's facing that way. It's a bit... Yeah. That's a bit spicy. Anyway, we'll get to that. I mean, we're pretty much there. Just a little bit out at a time. Don't want it to overflow into the other room. Nearly overflowed some there. Perfect. Oh, I left the door shut. I kind of like the idea in this puzzle that this would be the exit up here. So you got to come over here, you got to find the little wire in the little red wire room. Also, I love the like really close shadows in this room. Like I put that on layer 1. It's quite nice. Anyway. How about this? Doesn't really work. I think move and slide is our problem. So what if we do this? What if we move and slide here? And then if there's no direction, we don't move and slide. We just lerp the position towards the nearest run. And then we just need to trigger all this separately. because it wouldn't be able to trigger it based on velocity anymore. We'd have to trigger it based on something else. Or we just trigger all this every time there's no position coming in, and then instead of snapping it, we just find out what this thing is and we lerp towards it. And then we just play these animations if we're there. Okay, let's leave this un-effed with, but let's comment it all out for a minute and then mess around with it. So what I want to do is get rid of all the comment marks on it. And then, yeah, my theory was to put that in there instead and to put all of this in here. So if the player's not, if we are holding a direction, just let them move and slide like they normally do. That's very nice for them. And we know that they're moving, so then we just want all of the monkey bar move stuff to happen. So we don't want an else there. We actually want to put this in this, like in here actually, just so we're gonna say, okay, so the player's global position is going to be snapped to that. No, we don't want to do that. We want to set that as the target position. So the target X position is going to be wherever the nearest spot is. Okay, then we say player global position equals lerp a player's global position. What are the things of lerp again? So from to at that weight. So we say we'll move from the position we're at to the target X position as a float, I suppose. And we'll do that at like the player's acceleration value or something. We'll just try that for now. It may be that we just need a separate value in there. I mean, what is the player's acceleration? On land, 0.75. Okay. And weight should be between 0. Yeah. Okay. So that seems probably that is a variable that's sort of set up for it. So now we're going to lerp to the target at the acceleration, yeah? And we do that whenever we're not moving, and it's always to the nearest one. So this, we're trying a different mode now, where what we might do is we might swing back. If we didn't make it near enough, we'll swing back. But if we're over halfway, we'll swing forwards. But it should at least softly do that movement. And then, because we're going to be lerping our global position dot X, very important, and we're just taking from x to the target x position at that acceleration. Then we just want to basically say I think we want to snap it. If the pos mod we want to floor it or something. Like that. If the player's global position at its nearest integer, or not floor, maybe it round. Is it round? To just go to the nearest integer. Rounds x to the nearest whole number, with halfway cases rounded away from 0. Yeah. This I just want round. And then if that's like 96 equals 0, then boom, it's that. So what if we say then elif it's 48, then it's number 2. Not sure about this. I think that needs to go in here when we set our target. Yeah, I think what we actually want is we want this to be up here, so that we say, oops. So we say like if we're facing this way, then the target is all of that plus the offset. Otherwise, it's all of that minus the offset. And then we move towards that point. That's only 16. So I think then also here it's actually what we want to be looking at is whether the snapped ones are 0 or 48. Like that. We obviously don't need to round it anymore, but I think it's like we want to replace that with that, and we're looking at going to the nearest 48, and then we're saying what's the modulo of that against 96? Is it 0 or is it 48? I think that looks right. Oh, Hugo, yes, how you doing? Shout outs. Yeah, true, we're going to need it a few times, aren't we? So var snapped pos can be that. And then we can pop that into all these places. Okay. And then I don't think we need that warning anymore. So it's going to be that or that. And if it's not one of those two things... Actually, wait, we can't have it be snapped. We do need it to be rounded in here. Wait, this is confusing me. Yeah, let's go back to the rounded version. Saying like, look, if it's... The problem is now what we need to do is we need to add the offsets now, because we're moving to we're trying to go to these offset positions anyway, aren't we? So I think we need a little bit more control probably. We don't need that in there anymore, definitely, because we're lerping to it. We're setting our target to the right place, and we're going to lerp to there. And basically, on the way, yeah, I think what's best is if we keep this as the snapped one, but then we only do this when we know that we're like near, when we're still. And then if we're not, we do this. So I think that's kind of all we need to do now, is just basically say like, are we moving or not? Are we still lerping? So how we do that is kind of hard, because I guess we just compare. Like, are they close enough to each other? So if player global position.x is greater than, we've written lines like this a minute ago, this -5, and we can probably do 1, because we'll lerp to within 1 pixel of it, and it's less than that amount +1, right? Then we're probably like, we're pretty much on the target, so we're pretty still, so we can just look at the snapped thing and work out which side we want to be on. But if that's like not true, then we're somewhere in the middle, and we're moving. Okay, moment of truth. It's not bad. I mean, the animations aren't triggering, obviously. Probably because we weren't looking at the snap offsets here. Oh no, the target position has the snap offset built into it. Now, instead of using player acceleration here, what if we did like 0.3 or something smaller? Okay, that's really interesting. So it seemed to imply that like this is basically triggering all the time. Print, let's call this one no. And let's see if we're just doing both, if we're just getting one or the other. No and yay. Because we want like yay when we're moving and no when we're still. No. When we're moving it's still just no. We get a tiny bit of yay when we stop moving. Right. Oh, that's because none of this is being triggered while we're moving. Oh, so all of this just needs to be back a layer. So that all the animation management is happening all the time, regardless of whether we are... No, it doesn't have access to snapped POS anymore. So we'll declare that up here instead. I think we might be getting close. It's pretty good. And if you try and go but you don't get far enough, he just goes back. He's like, I'm not close enough to the next one. There we go. It's kind of frustrating when he goes back. But, I mean, how many players are going to be tapping it to, like, just move one along? But, yeah, I think we could work on that. This is definitely the right system for it, though. We can get rid of printing no's and yays. And I still think there's something to be said for, can we make it always round up? So where we set this target position here, can we make it so that it's always the one ahead of you? But like, you know, but only if you have left your current one enough. We're getting close, aren't we? I'm going to take a very short break to go to the loo, and I'll be back in a couple of minutes. Right, we're getting close, aren't we? So, here's where we're setting the target. And we can split these up, can't we? So we can say this is like handle animations. And that seems to just be working perfectly now. This is just a very good system. Like if you're within a pixel of your target, then idle. And if you're not, then look at where you are and move. I think going left to right going right to left, I think we only have to be over halfway. Actually, I'm not sure. Okay. This is the spot. I'm going to delete all this. the old version. Do we still get that like glitch on the side where we can just like keep walking into the edge forever? No, perfect. Okay, so we've actually fixed that as well. He tries to grab it, but there's nothing to grab. That actually looks perfect. That's exactly what I'm thinking, Pete. Yeah, we need to, like, if you tap it, if just a tap, it should go all the way to the next one. So it's like as soon as you leave the confines here, it's not the snapped position we want, really. We want to say here, we want to kind of do exactly this same check. So like, look, unless you're like sitting on top of your target, then your target is the next one along. So I guess the first thing is, look, if you are not on top of your target, we're going to be setting something here. Jason, yes, how you doing? Cheers indeed. Big up yourself. And either way, we want to lerp towards the target here. So this is separate. This is like down here. But setting the target is a thing that happens when we're not on the target anymore. Target position just starts at 0. That's fine, I suppose, because as soon as you're not on your target, it's going to look at what target we should have, and it shouldn't be a snapped position. We need to say, look, if you're going to the left, it gets back to the code we had before, actually, with the remainders and stuff. So let's start by going to the right. If you're going to the right, then we want to know what the next one up is. So we want to look at your pos mod. I think we want to say pos mod of your position X over like against 48. That amount we want to say add 48 minus that amount. So it's like it's your snapped position? No, because oh man, yeah, this is complicated. To just say that we always want to go upwards. There's so many variables because we want to say, well, like, what's the remainder if it's... Well, no, can't you always just... you just want to add 48. I think this is right. I think we want to say you get your position and you add 48 and you subtract that, and that will get you to the nearest, and then add the snap offset onto it. And coming the other way is minus at the end there. And when you go the other way, you don't want to add the 48 and then subtract it, you just subtract it. Yeah, we worked this out before. Okay, let's add those in. Can't convert argument 2 from int to float, so we're making the target positions into integers here. Maybe because of that. The snap offset is also an integer, so maybe that's the problem. Target X position is still coming in as an integer. Is it because, I don't know, let's maybe print it and just confirm our suspicions. Zero. He's trying to alert back to 0. Oh, wow. This is a pretty good bug. And now, right now, I'm holding right. When I hold right, he goes left, backwards. And when I hold left, then he goes the correct way, left. That's pretty wild. No idea. No idea about that. I thought I was like getting very close. Apparently not. I'm surprised. So I guess because at the beginning it's just 0 for ages. So if I just jump straight on and I'm holding a direction as I go, it just works straight away. It's when I stop. So I don't think the initial 0 probably even is the problem. Left equals right and right equals left. Yeah, it's excellent, isn't it? Your idea's too ambitious. Go on, tell me. I'm up for hearing about it. What's the idea? So what did we have in here before? We just had some like really simple lines, didn't we? That were just like target X position equals the snapped position plus the offset, right? And this one was minus the offset. And that was like working really nice, but just not rounding forwards. Oh no, we're still getting that same crazy bug. Why does it want to push it left? Look, we're not. I think we were doing it all the time, weren't we, as well? So it's probably this line of code that's the problem. Like if all that was down there, just happening all the time, that's the state where it all works properly. Yeah, we just go to the next one, or we go back sometimes. Yeah. Okay. I have to sign an NDA, yeah. This is highly classified information. I feel like I've been going for nearly 3 hours, and this is the sort of time where I go to bed, wake up in the morning, and the solution is obvious. So I think we may be reaching the end of the stream for tonight. We've made really good progress, and leaving it in this state I'm pretty happy with, because it's kind of, mostly working. We can discuss on Discord if I ever reply. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, Discord's a bit of a myth. Okay. Like I'm pretty happy with it. We're locking on. The animation's looking good. And we sort of lerp back quite nicely to where we need to be. The animation moves with the lerp. This could be maybe like softer as well. Yeah, that's annoying when he's like almost fully reached the bar and then goes back. That doesn't feel good like at all as a player. You definitely want him to finish the forward movement he's in the middle of. So we definitely have to work that out. I'm wondering if we just bring those lines back in without the big requirement to only doing it then, I don't think this will work. So I think we'll end up going forwards forever. Yeah, we have the similar kind of. But also, it seems like my maths is just wrong, because this isn't working. Do you know what I mean? It just doesn't work. If we didn't use the offsets here, how does it behave then? It's still pretty angry with me. Like, it works if you're just walking. But yeah, we still have this bug. Yeah, and it's not lining up properly either. Okay, Yeah, I'm gonna turn in for the night. I'm gonna put it back like this, which I quite liked, and then we'll come back to this in the morning in the cold light of day. You never know, but I'll try and I don't think it's gonna be super regular because I don't know. We'll see. I think maybe we'll try and just stream once a week, something like that. I'm keen to continue to document the development process. Because I think it will. I don't know, but yeah, the documentary bloopers reels, nice thinking. But I think certainly just for promoting the game, it'll be good to have some footage. Make some devlogs, whatever. Once we're sort of further down the line. So. Yeah, I just think every now and again, a little stream to say hello, how do you do, show where we're at, is quite nice. So yeah, that's that, and this is making me realise getting the ladders going, it's going to be long, but hopefully we'll put all this effort into making the monkey bar system work, and then we'll just port it onto the ladders. And then we'll just have to deal with the climbing in and out stuff. There's one bug on the ladders I really want to deal with as well, which is that when you're down here and you press up, you climb up. So that's great. When you're down here and you press jump, you don't. So that's something I want, pressing jump at the foot of a ladder to do the same thing that pressing up does, which should make you do that. But I think what happens is, I don't know actually. You're swapping to some state there, ladder I think. But yeah, look, you do eventually get off the ladder. I don't know. I have to work that one out. Anyway, I think we'll call it there. So yeah, so thanks for watching, people. And like and subscribe. And all that good stuff. And yeah, I'll see you for another one very, very soon. Alright, peace.